Hey guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. Jay Helmsing here. I'd like to welcome you to a very special video. This is going to be the introduction to probably a year-long series of videos on the project that I'm going to introduce right here. And the project's going to be called One Gun. And what I'm going to do in a nutshell is I'm basically going to take several of my guns and I'm going to lock them up and not touch them for approximately a year if everything goes according to plan. It has nothing to do with the current political climate or current affairs or anything like that. It's actually a different sort of project that I've been interested in doing for probably 2 or 3 years now. So basically the crux of all this, it started when I read a blog several years ago by a guy who purchased a new gun and just took that gun, logged the rounds that he put through it and everything like that, and he used that one gun to do everything. He shot competition with it, he used it as a nightstand gun, he used it as an everyday carry gun, and so basically that one gun was shouldering the weight of any other gun you'd have in your life, save for maybe a long gun or something like that. So I thought it was a really cool project, and I really liked reading those updates and kind of seeing the progress as it went along, and I thought, you know, someday I'd like to do that. So you know, kind of out of the blue, just the timing's right and everything like that. So I'm going to try to do that project myself here and put these updates on YouTube for you guys to follow along with. So we'll kind of see how this goes. So the overarching question is, can one gun do everything for you? And that is from, you know, self-defense, personal protection, to, you know, target shooting, competition shooting, range time, things like that. So in any good experiment, I've got 3 things that I'd like to basically do, accomplish, or discover in doing this project, and I'll go over those in just a moment. Before I go over those, I'll kind of give you guys an overview of why this intrigues me so much. So as you guys know, you've seen my reviews, I'm completely self-funded, so all these guns that I'm putting up there are guns that I purchased myself, I might use, I might shoot a little bit, I might experiment with, and I either sell or I trade off for something else or something like that. I don't have any safe queens, I don't keep a lot of guns around that I don't shoot or anything like that, so I've got a lot of guns coming and going as part of that project there, if you will. Basically what I've discovered in doing this is that you find certain nuances with certain guns, and that those carry on through the whole line. So in other words, if I don't really care for the trigger in, let's say, the Cng P320 in 9mm, I'm probably not going to care for it in the you know, 45 version, which is a different frame and everything else. Likewise, if I don't like shooting 45 caliber or 40 caliber, I'm probably not going to like it in any other platform. So there's certain nuances you can kind of find and hang on to. You know, Sig with the taller stack height of the slide. If I like that, if I can cope with that, it's going to carry over the rest of their line, so on and so forth. So you know, in doing that, I just find it's kind of redundant from time to time for me to, you know, purchase a different gun or a different caliber gun or a different size gun or a different size frame or something like that just to do a review on, and then I'm just like, yeah, this is kind of how I thought it would be centered on down the pike, right? So from here on, what I'm going to do, like I mentioned, is just do all of my training, all of my practice, all of my everyday carry with one weapon to see if it's even possible to do. And I think the big thing to understand is my personality in that. You guys have seen these videos. You have seen me carry multiple guns, multiple different brands. There are some brands I like, there's some brands I don't like. But with that said, I definitely don't just stick to one. I'm not necessarily brand loyal to one specific brand or anything like that. And I always like trying new things. You know, that's kind of the spice of life, right? Is variety. So that's, you know, I like trying new things. So it's going to be a very trying time for me to stay just with this one platform, this one pistol, not just platform, this one pistol this entire time for 12 months straight to see if I can do it, if I have any issues doing that, or if I just find some flaws in that process. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, some of the guns that I'm going to be securing and not using for a year. So this gun needs to take the place of these different variety of guns that I have on a daily basis. And I'll kind of give you the rundown on that in just a moment. So we'll start out first with defensive pistols that I typically carry. I usually rotate my carry a little bit, and for different reasons. Maybe I have a holster that fits better, doesn't print as bad with a certain type of pistol, or I just like the comfort of a holster or something like that, or I just want, you know, a bigger caliber, or I want a smaller caliber, or whatever it is. So basically for carry, what we're looking at, I typically have something like this on me. This is my FDE Cng P320, and it's completely FDE'd out, right? It's got the light on it and everything. This gun has nothing done to it except for the sights. So, and I am qualified on this gun to carry concealed as part of my department duty if I need to. But that is typically what I carry, and I do carry it with this light on it, this Enforce APLC light. So that is normally my defensive gun most of the time, I would say. Probably 60 to 70% of the time, this is the gun I have on me. I can conceal this perfectly fine in the summer, the winter, whatever. I've got bunches and bunches of magazines for it. I've got spare parts. I've got a lot of different P320 pistols, so if something goes wrong, I can probably get it up and running fairly quickly or replace it very quickly. So that's kind of the rundown on that. That's going to be a main carry option for me currently. Another one just like it, this is the P320. This is a department issue 320. It's got the shield on the top there. So this is my actual issued either off-duty or plain clothes gun. So if I'm doing work in plain clothes for the department, this is the gun that I have on me. So, you know, I typically would carry this. I typically carry this more. I like carrying FDE. I like carrying tan guns because if, you know, my shirt happens to ride up, it's not as noticeable. People look for a black gun. That's very common. A lot of people don't know about brown guns or tan guns or anything like that. So I feel like you can kind of squeak by a little bit easier with maybe an FDE gun in your waistband. So that's why I like to carry this. But yeah, this is a department issued gun, so there's no getting around this. This is one that I have to maintain and have to stay proficient on. So I do carry this from time to time as well. Just a P320, also in 9mm in the compact version. And it also has the same sights as my last pistol that I showed you. Moving on from there, when I want a single action, double action pistol, I often carry this pistol. This is my Beretta M9 A1 Compact. This gun does have some work to it. So obviously you see the TLR1 on there. I do carry it without the light from time to time, but I've carried it with the light if I can because I do find that it serves as a nice ballast for the gun and it shoots very flat with it. It has been converted over to decocker, so it is a G model at this point. It also has a D hammer spring in it. It's got the Wilson Combat rear sight. I can't obviously change the front sight. And it also has the steel trigger in it. So the stock steel trigger has replaced the polymer trigger that comes with the M9 A1s. Other than that, those are the only changes made to this gun. However, it's a very nice gun to shoot, and I do enjoy that. And sometimes, you know, I like to carry double action, single action, especially if it's going to be in an environment where I just can't afford an errant round going off. And I have had friends who have had striker-fired pistols go off while holstering or unholstering or whatever. So you are a little bit more touchy on that trigger with a striker-fired pistol. Not that you can't obviously train yourself or be more careful to not discharge them, but you get a little more wiggle room with a double action, single action pistol with a traditional hammer, in my opinion. So that's also an option that I sometimes carry. Obviously a little more weight to this one. Set that to the side. Here's another one. This is the Glock 30 that I recently picked up. I also talked about the Overwatch Precision trigger I put in this. Like the gun, it's slightly wider but slightly shorter in both the grip and the muzzle end than a Glock 19 is. So this gives you 10 rounds plus one in the chamber of 45 ACP. Kind of hard to go wrong. You got pretty good capacity. You got a really stout round that's got a pretty good reputation for being a fight ender, if you will. So something good going for it there. So this is also an option. Sometimes I do carry this under certain circumstances. So that's my Glock 30 that will be going away. And that's going to pretty much round out what I normally carry as far as everyday carry guns go. That's probably one of the options there. And you guys can start to tell some of these guns are wildly different. You go from a Glock 30 to a Beretta M9 A1 Compact. So magazine holsters. All those type of things are going to be completely different for those platforms. So if I want to switch, there is a little bit of effort going on, and obviously the grip angles are different, so on and so forth. So a little bit of a difference there that has to be accounted for, that is taking up time, it's taking up money, and so on and so forth, right? So we'll look next at some guns that I shoot competition with. So we'll start out first. This gun here is a full FDE P320. This is just your plain old run-of-the-mill 320. There's nothing special about the gun itself as it's shipped. I did replace the sights to the same sights that are on my duty weapon. This gun here does have work to it. It is a competition gun. Obviously, you see the Talon Grips. They call this moss. This is an FDE color, but it's got the Talon Grips on it. I just like that. It lets me get really high on the gun and not have to, readjust my position there. It's got the Gray Guns pelt trigger, so that's obviously a pretty cool little feature there. It also has the Gray Guns recoil rod, which has let it, it recoils much flatter now because of that. There's not a whole lot of, as it comes to the end of the slide, that whole bogged down thing that sometimes they'll do with the stock recoil springs. That's completely gone, so it recoils very flat now. And it also has some additional Gray Guns parts in it. I'll just kind of show you the trigger pull on this. You guys can kind of get the impression. But very, very nice, very light trigger in this for a 320. Still replicates the 320 trigger pretty closely, but it's been greatly reduced with those parts in it. So probably looking right around 4 pounds or so even with this trigger, and a nice crisp break. And like I say, it recoils very nicely through that shot. So awesome gun to shoot competition with. This is a lot of the time I'll go to this gun if I need to shoot a competition, because it replicates my duty gun, right? So moving on from there, single action, double action. This here is my Beretta M9 A3. There have been no changes made to this except for the decocker package. It is a G series at this point, but everything else is completely stock on this gun. The trigger is just phenomenal on this gun. I really like it. Really like shooting this gun. I just posted a video actually on Instagram of my first malfunction with this gun, but you know, I would do regularly run this gun in more of a competition format, so that's my choice for double action. Single action right here, so that as well will be going away, going put up for a while. And lastly, the big hoss here. Obviously this is my P320 X5. And this gun has some pretty extensive modification done to the trigger, trigger itself, the trigger housing and whatnot. The only thing I did with the sights is I replaced the fiber optic from green to red, and then it has a Gray Guns pelt trigger. It has a Gray Guns recoil rod up here, which again, like I say, makes the slide track a little bit flatter. And it also has the Gray Guns competition package in it, so it's got a shorter reset. And I'll show you that in just a moment. And it's got the lightest trigger I think I've ever felt in a striker fired gun. So phenomenal job. It has a replacement sear in there and so on. Sear springs, everything's been changed in this gun. It's very, very light and it's very accurate. It also has the Talon Grips. These are the granulate, the more skateboard tape type. So again, I can get a really high purchase on there and stay there. And it'll just kind of show you this trigger here is kind of out of this world. So this trigger clocks in right about 3 pounds. That's, as you guys see, there's going to be a little bit of a reset here, but not much. So that's your reset, and then again another 3 pounds or so, and it breaks again. So this gun, very awesome competition gun, no doubt about it. Definitely can shoot this fast, definitely can run some stages very quickly with this gun. So again, putting this gun away. So that's just a quick selection of guns that I handle on a daily basis. And as you guys can see, going to the range, things like that, I usually have a pretty full range bag. I'm burning ammunition on guns that I just want to shoot to stay relevant on, so on and so forth. So I'll kind of give you the rundown of why I'm doing this. 3 things I hope to accomplish in doing this task. And the first one, and I wrote these down up here, I'll read them to you. One is, can one gun truly do it all? In other words, all these guns I just showed you, will one gun take the place of those things? Will I feel as safe and secure as I do carrying this as I do with this gun that I'm going to test out? Will I feel as secure carrying that gun as this 45 Glock here? Will I have issues concealing it? Will I have issues with reliability? Will I have issues with finding parts or anything like that? So that's going to be one of the first things. Also, will it shoot competitions? Am I really missing out that much by shooting this fully tanked out competition gun versus a stock out of the box gun that is not necessarily made for competition use? So all of those things will be evaluated first and foremost, right? Can one gun truly do it all and serve as a well-rounded example, not just a jack of all trades? It can do everything, but it's not really good at anything. We're not really looking for that. We're looking for something that can work in all those areas and leave you not really like, man, I wish I came to this competition with my normal competition gun this time. So those are going to be things that I discover along the way. The second one, does shooting one gun polarize you? So that's also a big question a lot of people have, and some things I've heard it both ways. I've heard that, for instance, if you shoot the SIG a lot with the tall stack height of this slide, you're going to have issues pointing a Glock. right? Vice versa. A lot of people who shoot 1911s pick up a Glock and they're aiming up in the sky because they're used to having the grip angle at a different intersect and things like that. So obviously you have those concerns with muscle memory and things like that in shooting certain platforms. However, I've also seen, it's not really talked about a lot, but I've also seen good shooters that can pick up any gun and just drive tacks with it. I mean, Hickok 45, for example, or Patrick Kelly. Those are great examples of guys that can pick up a high point and just lay waste to steel targets, right? And so there's something to that, I feel like. You know, you look at some of the, even Dave Svaney went from Glock to the FN guns, and he didn't seem to have too much of an issue. He was still winning matches, he was still doing well on a completely different platform. So, you know, how much of that transfers? That's another question. How much of it transfers and how much of it is going to polarize you to that certain type of pistol if you shoot it a lot and repetitive? Are you picking up things that you're going to transfer to every gun, or is it specific to that type of trigger, that type of grip angle, and so on? So another thing I hope to find out during this process. Lastly, the reason I want to do this is to simplify my life, specifically simplify my gun life, and just kind of take some variables out of the equation. You know, I'm kind of tired of looking for different holsters. I'm tired of testing out different guns. I'm tired of trading in different guns for different things. Can I find one gun that is just going to simplify my life, whereas I can just grab some ammo, I've got my gun on me, I go right to the range, I shoot my carry gun, I go to a GSSF match, I go to a USPSA match, I go to whatever else I want to do recreationally, I shoot those matches with my carry gun. Can one gun do all these things? Can it simplify my life to where I'm just buying ammunition and I'm buying classes and I'm buying training and I don't have to invest a bunch of money in different platforms? So those are the three main things I hope to discover during this, okay? So just to give you guys a rundown, I will be checking in, I should say, with the progress in those different areas. And I'm going to be completely honest, like I am in my reviews. If I don't like something about the gun, if it drives me crazy, I will let you know. If I really start to adapt to something, I will let you know. I'm not sponsored by anyone. No one pays for my ammunition. I don't have a side business that's a gun shop. I don't have any ties to anything, so I'm going to be you know, have as much candor as possible in presenting this information to you. So with that said, I do have some biases, and you know, I'm not going to waste any more of your precious time with this whole backstory thing. I'm going to get right into it and show you what I just picked up today to be my first Project One gun. And you know, I do have some biases. I have some guns I've got a lot of time on. I've got some guns that I have experienced success with. And because of that, I tend to lean to certain companies. As you guys see, you know, the HK pistols don't seem to work too well for me. The PPQ, some of you guys love it. Mine was a lemon. Didn't really work too well. So on and so forth. I've been accused of being a SIG guy. I've been accused of being a Beretta guy, a Glock guy, whatever. I have certain brands that I prefer over others. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the pistol I just picked up that I hope to do this test with. Ooh, Glock 19 Gen 5 blue label, as if that matters, but that's what it's going to be. Glock 19 Gen 5, completely new, just picked it up today out of the box. You can see the magazine, no soot or anything on that yet. It's been test fired, I assume, but that's it. And actually, when I bought this gun, I didn't even feel the trigger out of the box. You know, just like, hey, this is the gun I want, go ahead and box it up and I'll be on my way. So this is the gun that I'm going to be trying the one gun project. Now I hear you guys booing and hissing out there because like I say, I have my haters as well. Oh, you're a Glock guy, and oh, your comparisons are terrible because you always like Glock and blah blah blah. So I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a rundown, but I will show you. You know, this is in the box here. My two magazines, my little loader thing, my back straps, the gun itself with a mag in it, and of course this. So brand new. You know, shipment here, brand new gun, unfired, untested at this point. So I'm obviously going to throw that in the trash can because I got about 60 of them laying around here that I don't ever use. But other than that, we're going to roll with it. We're going to see what happens. Now, why did I pick the Glock 19? So let me address that first. Why did I pick the Glock 19? The answer is because if you ask pretty much 85–90% of the shooting populace, what's a good do-all gun? You know what they're going to say. Even guys who hate Glock are going to say Glock 19, because I've been there before. I've been the one saying, well, I shoot SIGs a lot, But I would go with Glock if I were you. Why would you go with Glock? Because you can find parts everywhere for Glocks. They're absolutely everywhere. Underneath every nook and cranny out there, you're going to find some kind of part for a Glock. You go into any store, you'll find parts for a Glock. You can find holsters anywhere. Everyone's bending Kydex for them. You find spare mags for them anywhere. There's special events you can just shoot with a Glock pistol, like GSSF events. There are certain trainings you can go to, put on by Glock itself, that are only available with just stock Glock pistols. There are all kinds of different things behind the machine that is Glock, whether you like it or not, that do lend it to being a well-rounded pistol. Now the 19, really don't have to justify this too much. You've got a good carry size. A lot of people carry these. You've also got a nice size that is big enough for some range duty, some serious range duty, competition duty. This is the size and the type of pistol, although most of them are Gen 4, that most of your special operations forces have transitioned to. It's light. They're fairly robust. This new pistol, the Gen 5, has things in it that are supposed to make it even more robust, even more dependable. So not a whole lot that can go wrong with the Glock pistol itself and the entire platform. So I have recommended it before, like I said. A lot of people are just ask a question. I'll say, as bad as it sounds, it's hard to find a question in the gun world that the Glock 19 does not answer, at least adequately. It may not be the best target option on the planet, but it's going to be able to do that if you need it to. So there you go, guys. Here's the introduction. And I did feel the trigger just a few minutes ago, and it is a very nice trigger. So I kind of looked down on that one. I typically recommend everybody try the triggers before you buy. But even for a Gen 5, this has got a really nice trigger, so I'm digging that. I'm really liking that. And as you guys know, I've said this before, triggers can vary from pistol to pistol. Make sure you try them before you buy them. I didn't take my own advice and got lucky this time, so that's looking good for me. So to round this out, as of right now, I'm going to be carrying it mostly in one of these two rigs here. This is an old Raven Concealment Vanguard minimalist holster. So if I carry it without a light on, that's typically how I'll probably be carrying this. Very low print. There's just nothing there to print if you have this on there. So good option for that. I also have this Cng holster here. This is made for the Gen 5 19 with a Enforce APLC light, which I will put on there from time to time, APLC, and also the O-Light. I'm not very familiar with these. This is an O-Light Valkyrie Mini, PL Mini. Just bought this because they're they're kind of getting popular. I'm having a holster made for this light, so we'll kind of see. It'd be kind of a shakedown on this light as well. Some things I like about it, some things I don't really care for already. But there's that there's that Valkyrie from O-Light. So as you guys can see, very small, very small signature on that. So we'll see how that goes as well. So again, one of these two lights, the APLC or the O-Light, both these are fairly new, relatively new lights. And my Glock 19 Gen 5, that's what I'm planning on using for the next year or so. So we're going to start this on July 1st, 2018. I'm going to try to roll it to July 1st, 2019. I'm going to update you guys with any failures, any issues, any regrets, any pluses, any negatives, anything I find as we go along the way. I do also hope to just kind of give you guys my impression on certain parts and things like that. In the meantime, maybe a gun here and there. And just to kind of caveat all this, there are two other guns at least that I'm going to be shooting from time to time. And that's going to obviously be my department issued gun, the Sig Sauer 320. I have to carry it with me every time I'm on duty, so I'd be a complete moron to not fire it once in a while and do my training with that for the department. And my backup gun, which I carry anytime I have my 320 on me. This is just the 320 subcompact because it takes the full-size 320 mags if needed. So that's my backup gun there. My duty gun, those two will be carried and fired from time to time. The other ones I plan on locking up and putting away for safekeeping in a remote location and away from my hands, so I'm not tempted to replace this or to say, oh, that's a really important competition, I need to go get my competition gun and bend the rules a little bit. So we'll kind of see how this goes, guys. And like I say, it's not a Glock thing, it's not a Sig thing, it's really nothing. It's just the fact that this is the most common option. Love it, hate it, whatever. It's the most common option for people if they're looking at getting a new gun and looking for a gun that can do everything well. That's where to start. So if I have issues here with this Glock 19, if I find something and I'm like, man, this is not going to work out for whatever reason, I'm going to know right away this is a bad idea, because this is probably our best hope, our best contender in that category. Okay. Other ones that are close, you know, obviously 320 Compact, same sort of thing, but got some negatives, got some pluses. You know, a little more on the sine wave there than your bland old Glock 19. I mean, just the old standby, right? So appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys listening to me drivel and ramble on about this, and hopefully you're as excited to get this project started as I am. So look forward to updates, and I will be putting these updates on regularly and showing some footage of the shooting, of the practicing, of the training, and I'll let you guys know if I'm degrading with my duty guns or if I'm improving with my duty guns, if it's transferring as I spend a lot of rounds. I'll also be logging the rounds in. As I said, we have 0 rounds on this gun right now, so I'll be making a log sheet and keeping track of all the rounds I shoot with this gun and how it performs. So again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your viewership. Continue to watch videos, continue to read, continue to develop, continue to go to the range and work on your craft. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day, guys.